was the first person that you actually went out with then? Was it your wife? Is that
No, certainly not. But I remember an 18-year-old friend of mine, when we just left school, an 18-year-old friend saying, if you touch a girl's lips when you're kissing, does that mean you'll have a baby? I mean, that must now sound so immature and
don't you think it's rather dodgy, that? I mean, don't you think that's as a result of too strict an upbringing?
Possibly. Though I don't go back on what I said. If you're going to take the two extremes to what we have now and to what I have, thanks very much, I'd rather have what I have.
Yeah.
You're not going to convince me on it.
Yeah. So, sort of trying to go back to what happened to you then, because that's, I think, what viewers want to hear, what your experience was.
Well, I was guided
what
very
did
carefully.
happen?
Well, I met a very mature girl.
Yes.
She was 18.
Yes.
And I was 18 and terribly immature.
All right.
And I think we went up into Welbury Woods, and she taught me things that I just couldn't believe. And I enjoyed them.
And at that point, you had no concept of sex whatsoever at that point?
Well, we didn't have, which I think probably is a weakness. I wouldn't deter from that. We didn't have sex lessons at school.
I mean, you weren't encouraged to masturbate. You hadn't masturbated at all at that point. Nobody had told you anything about it. You didn't
I never thought of it in those terms. No, we had not had lessons or teaching in those.
Well, not teaching, but I mean, somebody explaining to you the basics.
No.
And you say you hadn't masturbated at all by that age.
What I am saying to you is, because I don't remember.
Yes.
What I'm saying to you is, no one taught you or took you through, and I think that must be a very good thing nowadays that they do.
Yes. Yeah. And so you went off to this wood, and after that, you then knew about sex after that.
Well, I thought I did, but of course I didn't. For me, it was one giant step forward, but it was hardly one for mankind. I'd done the next 3 chapters in 3 days, but I still wasn't anywhere.
Is there any sense in which you have divided feelings about being this authority that you want to be? You want to be this legitimated, elected authority person, but yet it keeps on going wrong. And I know that it's very bad luck why it's gone wrong. I do appreciate that. But is there some sense in which another part of you doesn't want to be that?
Yes, I think you're probably right. I think there is a part of me that is by nature a rebel, by nature falls in the category of that marvelous line from the play Lulu, which ran in London many years ago, a wonderful play called Lulu, where everyone on stage has lost everything. They've lost a fortune. The Duchess faints. The prostitute screams and runs off the stage. The soldier shoots himself. And the wealthiest one of the lot, who's lost more than anyone else, sitting in the chair, looks straight at the audience and says, "Wonderful. I can start again." And I think there is a little bit of that in me, that when I reach a certain point, I need to be driven.
You need a challenge.
Again. I need a challenge, yes.
I can't imagine what it would be like to have been in the position you're in as vice chairman of the Tory party and to get that phone call from the News of the World, or whoever it was, who phoned you, was it Monica Coughlin or whoever it was, getting a phone call anyway that indicated this appalling thing was about to happen to you. What did you feel when you heard that, when you got that phone
Very
call?
sick, very ill, and thought then...
You can remember picking up the phone?
Oh yes, very vividly. And thought then that my career was over and that all the work I'd done had been wasted through my own stupidity and naivety. But what you do in real life, time heals, number one, and number two, you, I hope, stand up and fight. You don't just give in.
And that part of you that described that story of the rich man who's lost all his money and he feels...
In a way it's a strength, but I don't want it to happen too often again.
After you got this phone call and you immediately knew that your career was over, that was it. You instantly knew that.
Well, I could have made the decision not to resign, but it sounds pompous, but it's meant sincerely. If you believe you're going to harm the team, you go. You don't hang around. And I thought that if I hung around, I might be able to ride it through in a month, but it would not help the Prime Minister, and it would not help my party. If you hang around even for 2 weeks, you've done the damage. So you either go, make a clean, the rest of it, and react accordingly, or you cling in there. And there's the two schools of thought. Some people cling in.
Which Cecil Parkinson obviously managed to.
Well, no, that was a different situation. That's not fair, because the Prime Minister asked him to.
Oh, yeah.
And that's a very different situation. So that's not fair. And in my case, I felt the honourable thing to do was go.
Did you feel, I mean, this is going to sound like a stupid question, but I mean, did you feel very, very depressed?
Yes.
What did you feel? Did you feel
very
very
depressed.
critical of yourself?
Yes.
And how did you cope with that depression? What did you do?
I sat down and wrote a play called Beyond Reasonable Doubt, which is now playing in the West End.
So how many days after you knew you'd had it, was it before you started writing the play?
3 days.
What did you do during those 3 days?
Walk around the garden kicking myself.
You didn't find yourself lying in bed late?
Certainly not.
You didn't find yourself drinking?
Certainly not.
You found yourself walking around the garden
Kicking myself. Played a little more squash than I used to play. I mean, I got up to 4 or 5 games a week, and I got on with writing the play.
What about the other consequences, though, of not perhaps being able to digest that emotion and really understand yourself? In other words, there is an element of denial and avoidance about that approach, I think some people would say.
Avoidance and denial.
Yes, not really having the emotions and coming to terms with them and understanding yourself and why they happened.
Oh, I was a bloody fool.
But
And
why
exactly
were you
it
a
happened.
bloody fool?
Because I was naive.
Why were you naive?
Because I am. I mean,
Why?
why are you taking smoking tablets? Because you can't get yourself off, kick the habit.
Yes, but
we all know what our
I
problems
could bore
are.
you for quite a long time about why I smoke today.
Why am I naive?
Because I sometimes feel
I think because most enthusiasts are. I think you fall
Why are you an enthusiast?
Because I'm an energetic enthusiast. That's the way I am.
Why?
I'm an optimist.
Why are you like that?
That is the way I am, Oliver.
But
I don't know why I am.
When you said it was something to
And I'm
do...
certainly not just to please you again, as in the beginning of this program, suddenly going to become a cynic who conforms so totally that I become Britain's biggest bore. I am by nature an enthusiast.
Do you think I was
Let me
suggesting...
finish, Oliver.
Do you think I was suggesting
I
that?
do. Let me finish. I am by nature an enthusiast. I am by nature someone who wants to change things and do real things in life. And when the petty and the little belittlers go on decrying my feeble achievements, and many of them are feeble, I feel very sorry for them, because they're not getting up and achieving something themselves. And I won't go back and suddenly become a cynic myself, or become a belittler myself, start running everybody else down to prove that I really was in the right. I was naive, I made a mistake, I'm trying by hard work to get back, and none of your psychological discussion on Channel 4 will change that. That is the way I am.